back to my channel. So this is the first video of the second annual Mega Goal Planning Week series. I don't know exactly what this is. I don't know. It's a week-long video extravaganza, if you will. So I did do this last year for the first time, and I actually really enjoyed the process of filming all of the content and of having kind of a week of just like a bunch of different planning videos for you guys. So I decided to do it again. I feel like it really helps me kind of, I don't know, I feel like it really helps me kind of stay on track with what I want to get done for the next, like for the upcoming year. And hopefully it's also helpful for you guys. So what is going to happen this week? So this week you are going to have 5 different videos. So I will have posted my normal video on Sunday. This is going to be the Monday video. I'm going to do videos Monday through Friday, so 1 each day, and then I will have my normal Sunday video that will come up as well. So basically from Sunday to Sunday you're going to have 7 videos, basically. A lot of content. So this first one is my 2020 recap. So I thought that what we would do is we'll start out, just have a little chat about how the year went. Obviously, it was a weird one. And then I thought I would take you guys over and we'll look back through kind of my Q1 PROJO, because I haven't really done that in a while. I usually just kind of refer to the previous one for whatever quarter I'm currently planning. So I figured we would go back through my first PROJO of 2020 and kind of see, you know, what were the things that I actually got done, what were some of the things that I didn't get done, and all of that kind of stuff. We're not really going to do any sort of pre-planning for 2021 in this video, so I will, I don't know if I'll post like a TV guide or a schedule of events or something like that. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, so 2020. Guys, 2020 was a weird one, and I will say I am definitely luckier than most. I do have a stable job. I was able to work all through lockdown and all of that, so I'm very, very grateful for that. But it, you know, was still a weird year for me too. Even though I was able to kind of keep my job, I did have a number of months, I think 3 or 4 months, that I was remote teaching, which my school system is not super set up for that, so that was great. You know, we went back with the school year kind of as normal. We've had a couple of cases, but we basically are just kind of teaching as normal with masks on. Like, just things have been kind of up in the air. I will say that I probably adapted to lockdown life maybe a little bit better than some, just because I am naturally an introvert who likes to spend a lot of time at home. But there was a moment where I was like, kind of cracking, a little bit, but it did overall, like kind of all of that, it did mean that the goals that I had for this year, I had to kind of rethink and adapt in certain ways. So I had my top 5 goals for the year, which actually, let me go grab my bullet journal. Okay, I don't know why I didn't think to bring that over. So my top 5 goals of the year are, whoops, right in the front here. So Italy. Obviously, I have not been to Italy, and I am not going to go in 2020. I am hoping to be able to go during one of my holidays in 2021. So I'm hoping maybe my February or my April holidays. I'm kind of waiting to see how things evolve. However, I did, like, kind of as soon as I saw the writing on the wall and was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to go, I did actually do 2 rounds of Skype classes with a teacher from the Italian school that I'm going to be going to do my classes with whenever I get there. So I will say I actually have already paid the deposit for my class, so for the 2-week class that I want to do, and I have already emailed them. I emailed them months ago saying, you know, I really want to come, like, here's my deposit, but I think I'm not going to be able to come until 2021. And they're like, that's totally fine, just like let us know when you have the dates. So I think that one of my goals for kind of the end of 2020 is to see kind of how things go and send them an email and kind of fix that, like say, do I want to go in February or in April, and kind of chat with them a little bit. So no, I didn't go to Italy, but I did do 20 hours worth of Skype classes, which I felt was really, really helpful. I loved my teacher. She was fantastic. I really hope she's going to be there, like, in person, because I know she kind of teaches through the school, but I don't know how much she does like the in-person immersion classes, so I really hope that she'll be there. And so I feel like that goal was kind of half done, you know, like I didn't go, but I did do Italian classes. So, you know, my font. You guys, this is getting ridiculous. So actually, one of my goals for this week, which I am currently on the first week of my October holidays, one of my goals for this week in addition to filming a bunch of stuff, is actually finalizing that first font. And you guys will have heard by the time this video comes out whether I actually did that. Because it's getting ridiculous. I am literally so close to finishing, and I don't know what's holding me back. I'm not really sure what's holding me back. So it is on my list to actually finish that. I'm hoping that I am going to have a little bit of a motivation planning day on Saturday. We'll see if it actually happens. And if that is the case, then I definitely will make a lot of progress on it, because I will have my hype beast there with me, which I don't think I'm using that term right, but that's fine. I know what I mean. Hopefully you guys understand. Anyway, so font, we're still working on it. Nationalization, naturalization, whatever you want to call it. I printed out the documents like a year ago and haven't done anything. I have a friend who is also interested in doing the process, and we are hoping to work on it together. So I actually am going to talk to her soon and see if we can set a date where we actually sit down and work on it, because normally when we hang out we do crafting stuff, and I'm we kind of need to do some paperwork. So I do still want to work on that. My current visa is a 4-year visa, and I just passed 1 year, so I still have 3 more years before I have to go back and renew this particular visa. And my goal, kind of the thing I have in mind, is to do my naturalization process while this current visa is still going, and then have it have to renew it after that or whatever. So I haven't really done much on that. Yeah. Invest. I have not figured out investing in France. It's not it's not one of my fortes in any sort of situation, but finding the information here in France has been extra complicated, and I just haven't really had the brain power or bandwidth. That's not one word. So I haven't had the bandwidth to really deal with it, because it's going to require calling and talking to people, and I hate making phone calls. So that has not gone. I have been saving money. That's cool, but haven't really done anything with it. So, and I did do my teacher BUJO, so that is fully done. I am loving using it. It has been working so well. I'm actually quite happy with the A5 size. I feel like for work, it's really nice. The only kind of downside is that because I have such big classes this year, my attendance, I have to have 2 blocks of attendance sheets for one class, because mine only has room for 32 students on one page. And so on classes that I have more than 32 students, which is at least 4 out of my 7 classes, I have to have multiple sets so that I can finish out the alphabet. So that was kind of a bummer, but other than that, it's been working really well. I have been totally happy with the size of the monthlies, even though they are super tiny. I actually that's a perfectly fine size for me given how I actually plan. The weeklies, everything has been going great. So that one is actually done. So out of my top 5 goals, I have fully finished one. I have done as much as I can on another, so that's Italy. I have worked a bit on my font, but it's not done, so that's a half one. And I have done nothing on naturalization and investing. So in terms of my top 5 goals, not doing so hot, which, yeah, that's just kind of the way it went. So in terms of other stuff, I have been doing a fair amount of sewing. Not as much as I thought I would, honestly, but I think part of it is that I did a ton of sewing when I first was starting, and I made a lot of things, and I think that was just, the whole adage of getting your 10,000 hours of practice kind of thing. I think it was really going towards that. And now that I've made a bunch of things and I have a lot of me-made clothes that I can wear, now I'm focusing a little bit more on projects that may take a little bit more time, that are a little bit more complicated, and so I'm slowing down. I also am playing around with some other things, so I have been playing around a little bit with quilting, just quilting little things. I am actually hoping to make a queen size quilt for my bed. I've made 4 out of 6 probably quilt blocks. They are gigantic quilt blocks because it's basically a scrap quilt. And I also have this idea that I want to make another little lap quilt that is twice the size of the one that I currently have, because I actually use it a lot, and I would like one that's just a little bit bigger. So I have been kind of, branching out into other things, branching out a little bit into quilting. I've gotten into embroidery. I did a cross stitch, which I am hoping to actually hand quilt. I want to actually work on a hand sewing project. So in terms of like sewing stuff, that's been going really well. I've been really enjoying, you know, using my handmade notebooks. I am planning to do that for my bullet journal again this year, which you guys will see some of that this week. So yeah, in terms of that kind of stuff, like not too bad. I will say my one kind of big win this year is I have been making it a priority to not work on the weekends. And that has been honestly really, really key in me not feeling as burnt out as I normally do, which the last week before the holidays, I was definitely like nearing burnout. Just all of us were really tired. The kids like were just not having it. I was not having, like, it was just kind of overall like we needed a break. But I will say, like, kind of in general, it's been really nice for my mental health to come home in the afternoons and, you know, on days when I finish at 5 or 6 o'clock, to just know that I'm not going to have to sit down and do work because I already did work during the school day. You know, I take Friday morning when I have time, like I go in a little bit later to work, and so I take that Friday morning time to do some grading or to do some lesson prep or all of that kind of stuff. And just really like drawing the line and saying like, okay, sure, there's more stuff I could be doing. Like there's absolutely stuff I could be doing. Maybe I'm not handing back graded assignments quite as quickly as I could, but I am not working on the weekend. And that is a boundary that I didn't used to have. It's a boundary that I kind of didn't think was necessary because I thought, oh, well, you know, I'm single, I live alone, I don't really have a family that I have to take care of, so I don't really have any excuse not to do some work on the weekend. And it was wearing me down. Like it honestly was just wearing me down. And so we're just not doing it. You know what I mean? Like my classes are ready for the week. I am doing my best to get graded work back as soon as I can, but some of it, like, excuse you, fly. But some of it just, it is gonna take hours and hours of work to do. And so I'm kind of like splitting it out and doing it over time. And so be it. You know what? Like that's just kind of the way it goes. If my school decided to change their setup a little bit to make it such that we didn't have quite this amount of work, then that would be one thing. But because I have to work within the system, like this is what it is. So I feel really good about that decision, and I feel really good about the fact that I've been able to like really have no work weekends. It has been honestly life-changing in terms of just like being able to sometimes see friends. So the past couple of years, basically, I would do all of my friend time that I could in the summer because everybody knew that I would basically just hibernate in like during the school year, because I would never really, like maybe once every 2 months, I would go out for like a birthday party in the evening, or I would go out for like something on the weekends or whatever. But most of the time I would just like not come out at all. And it was not ideal. You know what I mean? Like it's not great that I don't see my friends that much. That's not great that I'm turning down all of these things. And I mean, I still turn down a lot of things just because I need to make sure that I'm not going to get sick, so I don't want to stay out too late or like any of those kind of things. But I also have been like over the past couple of years finding people who are interested in doing like crafty things or daytime things or that kind of stuff. And so it's been really nice to have people that I can hang out with on the weekends and not be so stressed that like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to do like 6 hours of work on Sunday and also like do all my batch cooking and clean my house and do all of this. Like it's honestly made such a difference. So that has been like a big win. That was one of the things that I don't know if I actually wrote it down as a goal for 2020, but it's one of those things that's been in the back of my mind ever since I started teaching full-time, which admittedly is only like 2 or 3 years at this point, but that was a huge win. So that's kind of just what I remember off the top of my head. So let's go ahead and pop over and take a look at my mind map and just kind of see if there's anything that I forgot about. So I've got all of my PROJOs out over here. This one is Q1, and then I've got Q2, Q3, and Q4. So we might not look at all of them, but we'll take a look at some. Let's take a peek at my 2020 mind map. So in terms of what I had hoped to do in 2020. Let's kind of zoom in a little bit more. So let's take a look at the goals that I had originally set out at the very beginning. So at the end of 2019, actually. So this is my full 2020 mind map versus my Q1. So we're just going to take a look at the 2021. So let's kind of start. These are my top 5 goals, which we have already talked about. So we know how that went. Moving on to travel. All of my travel plans were canceled. I basically Aside from going to Paris for a day trip at the beginning of my holidays, so this past Saturday, the only trip that I did in 2020 was a weekend trip to Paris. I didn't really do anything else. My parents came here for Christmas in 2019, so I didn't even go anywhere for that aside from like what we did while they were here. So, you know, that's just kind of 2020. Then in terms of sewing and knitting, I started planning Lady Sherlock. That was actually, so apparently it's been almost a year. I wanted to do kind of an outfit based on Bernadette Banner's Lady Sherlock. I have since changed it to be more of a Lady Ravenclaw, and then I've since kind of readapted it. Yeah, that hasn't really happened. I did plan it, and then I just kind of, maybe I'm not gonna make it. So I did do Me Made May. I still have not done the wrap-up blog post to go with it, and I have a feeling we're just not going to this year. It is what it is. But I actually had a lot of fun doing Me Made May. It was great to see the different outfits that I could make up with, you know, using mostly clothes that I had made myself, so that was really awesome. I wanted to research a class at the School of Historical Dress to go to in the UK. Has not happened, like have not even looked at that one. Make 9, I need to update this, but I think I've only done maybe 3 of the 9 things I had originally done, and I've actually since like really updated my like what I had hoped to make. I do think I might want to do a make 9 again, but I think I want to make it less specific and do like, you know, 2 dresses, 2 pairs of bottoms, like, you know, 3 or 4 tops, like do something a little bit less specific. I don't know, I have to kind of play around with that. But having like that really ambitious 9 projects that were very specific that I planned out at the end of 2019, like it just didn't work for me. I needed more flexibility, and as I kind of made more things, I realized like, oh, I don't actually want this thing, or I don't need this thing, and I'd rather do this thing instead. And so it just wasn't really a format that is necessarily the most conducive for the way that I actually like to create, so we'll have to see. In terms of the Darn Good Yarn Challenge, I have officially given up on knitting. I started cross-stitching and embroidering and found that those both suit me so much better, and actually I prefer freehand embroidering to kind of anything else. And maybe I'll do a video on that at some point. It's not like, I don't know how interesting it'll be, but it's something that I've been really getting into, and that's something that I can actually do while I'm sitting and watching TV. I don't do it all the time just because after a while my fingers kind of hurt from the needle, but this was just like a non-starter basically. Make your stash. So I actually was doing pretty good about making fabric from my stash, and then I also bought some fabric, but we're working on it. We're working on making fabric from the stash, and anytime I have a little project, I first shop my stash to see if there's anything that I have that I can use to make, you know, what I want to make, and then if I don't, then that's when I would go to the fabric store. So I'm trying really hard to shop my stash first before anything else. In terms of social media, let's see, so side hustles, that has been moved to a someday project. Like I do have a couple of little side hustle things that are kind of just integrated into things I already do, which I don't know, maybe I can do a bite-sized budget video about that at some point if you guys would be interested, but it's not something I am dedicating attention to right now. I sort of updated my Letter Like a Lefty series, but I haven't really done that much with it, just because I honestly haven't really, like, aside from my skills having improved some since I filmed it, nothing in the information has really changed as far as I can remember. So haven't really done that. I did finally do some Happy Mail. Haven't done a ton, but I did start doing that. I need to work on finishing that up. And for a while it was really good on my video backlog. I have videos now that I need to edit and prep, but that's just kind of an ongoing project. Then in terms of money, literally the only thing is I started a donation fund, and I have started 2 monthly donations to organizations. So that's like kind of the only one that I've actually done. All the rest of them, like I am saving. I probably didn't save this much money because it was kind of a weird year. And yeah, that's kind of how that went. In terms of other, what did I have? Read 50. I'm actually 1 book away from reading 50. That one I will easily get. I did work on a bunch of decluttering. I still need to do some more. I started reading a book in Italian. I need to work on that at some point. I have been working on Talk to Me in Korean. Again, that's an ongoing project because there's a number of different levels, but I am currently up to level 5, so that's cool. And I worked on an exercise habit while I was in lockdown, and then once I went back to work kind of as normal, I don't really keep up with it just because I move a lot for my job. So, you know, I feel like that's sufficient for the time being. Then I have for work. So plan ahead, I'm working on that. I made my teacher BUJO. I started organizing and digitizing documents, didn't really finish it. It's on my list, and haven't really done any trainings. I'm just kind of really trying to minimize how much contact I have with outside people, so I didn't really look into signing up for trainings this year. So yeah, that was kind of the tour over there. Let's head back over for a little wrap up. So that was a look at what my kind of original 2020 goals were. As you can see, I mean, I haven't gone through and counted, but I probably didn't get to like half of them. And even the ones that I got to, I ended up adapting in a lot of ways just as the year went on, and I realized that it was going to be necessary to actually adapt them. I just kind of went ahead and did that. So in terms of next steps, I am still going to have my top 5 goals for 2021. I think that it's kind of a nice thing to have those like 5 really concrete goals that I'm working towards. I need to think about, and we'll chat more about this in my top 5 goals video, but I need to kind of think about in terms of what goals that I didn't get to this year on my top 5, do I want to keep them as top 5 goals, or do I want to revisit them, do something different? I'm not really sure yet, so we'll have to check in on that. I also think that I need to really kind of think about what my general goals are going to be. So especially in terms of my like personal projects and things that I'm doing on the creative side of things. I think that, for example, with sewing, I had 2 specific of things where as the year progressed, I found that I just didn't want to make those things, or I didn't need to make those things, or they didn't suit my style, or like what have you. And I'm trying to get better in terms of that like creative side to kind of do all of the creative planning and all of that, and recognizing that a large portion of it might end up just being sort of design practice, like sort of exercising my mind and deciding like, oh, is this like, this would be a really cool thing to make, and you know, I would do it with this fabric and this fabric and like this pattern and all of this kind of stuff, but like maybe I don't actually need to physically make it. And it's, you know, it's a different aspect of sewing, and it's one that I find to be really fun, but I need to kind of take off this pressure of like everything that I'm like, ooh, that would be so cool. It doesn't actually have to become a real garment necessarily. So I'm working on that. And I think that was part of what happened with my Make 9, was that I had 9 things that was like, these are going to be so cool and all of that. And I just didn't actually, like, I had a bathing suit, which I bought the bathing suit pattern, and I think it's really, really pretty. And someday I do want to make it, but I haven't needed to wear a bathing suit in like 5 years. Like, I just don't go places where I need a bathing suit. So that was kind of a silly thing for me to have made. And it was really just that like, oh, I really like this style and I would really like to make it someday, but like not this year. I also had, for example, a dress that I was gonna make for my brother's wedding that I couldn't go to because of, you know, lockdown. And so I made another version of because it's a dress / romper, like I made another version that I do wear and all of that, but like I didn't actually make, like the dress for his wedding was on my Make 9. And so there were just a couple of things that had to get kind of adapted in terms of that. So I think I need to let that kind of thing just be a little bit more open. In terms of some of my other kind of standard ones, language stuff, I think I'm going to stick with Italian and Korean for right now. I need to kind of revisit exactly what my goals are going to be in terms of what I want to get done. I think I am going to leave read 1 book in Italian on my list. I don't know that I'll get to it this year, just, you know, it's the end of October kind of thing. Like, we'll see if I have a book in Italian that I could start reading. I just haven't done it yet. I have a bit of a backlog of books that I've borrowed from people that I'd like to get back sooner, so that's something to work on eventually. In terms of Korean, I do want to keep working on the Talk to Me in Korean lessons. There is a, like, school, I guess, that has Korean classes here in my town, and I would like to look into signing up and doing that in 2021-2022, because basically their school year follows our school year, which is really nice because they skip having classes on the school holidays, which works out really well for me if I ever am able to travel again, you know what I mean? Like that would be really nice. So I think that might be really helpful for me to actually do some in-person classes. So, you know, I have some ideas for language stuff, but I think what I'm going to do is kind of keep the focus on Korean and Italian and just kind of stick with those for right now. In terms of work stuff, I think I need to kind of revisit some of that stuff because there's things that I've said that I'm organizing that I just haven't gotten to. And I actually did this summer, I went through and I like just recycled a bunch of paper that I no longer need, and things that I've had for 5 or 6 years that I haven't looked at in about 4 years, and I'm like, I probably don't need those things anymore. And if I do, by the time I need them again, I'm gonna find a, you know, newer, better version or whatever. So in terms of like the decluttering side of things, I do still want to work on that a bit more. I do have a little bit of space that I want to clean out here. At some point I am actually going to get my new sewing machine, and so I am keeping my current one. It's going to be sort of my backup machine, so if I have friends over for a sewing party, we can have 2 sewing machines going so we can both work on projects and that kind of stuff. But I have a feeling that I'm going to need to keep it in my bookshelf while I'm not using it, so I need to clean some space out for that. But otherwise, I think that my work stuff is just not going to get as organized as I kind of thought it would when I first wrote down those goals, and so I might need to rethink that for next year. What other things kind of, I don't know. So just, you know, I've got some kind of initial thoughts about things that I want to change, that since we're not really sure what 2021 is going to look like how much longer are we going to have to be in sort of like semi-isolation or lockdown and all of that, like how is that going to affect personal goals that I want to get done? How's that going to affect travel goals and all of that? So, you know, I've started kind of brainstorming, and we'll definitely go into that in my 2021 pre-planning video, which is going to be in a couple of days. But for right now, I think it was really nice to just kind of go back and see. I had honestly not looked at my 2020 mind map, that initial one I did in Q1, and I had forgotten a lot of the things that I had put on there, which shows me that they were like almost immediately not a priority, and so they didn't get moved to future quarter mind maps, which is not ideal. Like I need to definitely work on that and make sure that the things that I'm putting on my goals are actually things that I want to be doing. And of course, like things change over time. I'm not going to get it right 100% of the time, but you know, I'd like to take the information from this year and use it to make next year better, the way that I took the information from 2 years ago and used it to make this year better. Obviously things kind of were up in the air, but you know, I did my best, and I think I had more concrete goals than I did even 2 years ago. So like, it's definitely a process. So that is our first video. I will be back tomorrow, so Tuesday, with my top 5 goals for 2021. So we'll have a chat about that and decide what those top 5 goals are going to be. So if you guys have any comments or questions, let me know down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys. So if you've made it all the way to the end of this video and are actually watching my end screen and you're not subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you would. There's a little button right there for you to do it. And if you're interested in watching some more of my videos, I have links to 2 of my older videos off to the left there, so you can check those out if you would like to, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.